excited to be here. I kind of was that kid in the back of the classroom like, man, do I go next? Because when you start talking about vision and dreams, something leaps inside of me if you're an entrepreneurial spirit. How many entrepreneurial spirits? But you didn't just run a business, it's in your DNA or anatomy. I think when it's in your anatomy, you don't try to be like someone else. You just kind of just blend out. Somebody say blend out. We've been trying to blend in long enough, but I feel like we need to blend out, which focus on being the solution and not the problem. What a great MC. MC's crying, she's tore up. Darlene is my sister for life. I thank God for her. Give it up for Darlene and Darlene Utopia. It's amazing, amazing. I've watched her grow and just catapult into something beautiful, and we all byproducts of that. I'm determined we don't celebrate enough. Somebody just find a reason to celebrate in your mind, heart, of the last thing you went through and overcame. I think that every day when you celebrate your birthday, how many of you know your birthday wasn't just when you hit planet Earth, that God had a plan before you were in the loins of your father? There's a great solution that's birthed inside of you. So Marc laid a groundbreaking presentation. I'm like, do I have to follow that? And I'm so glad I know my identity. I can just piggyback on that because it's awesome. And then you're going to put me between Toastmasters and Marc. So I don't know what I'm going to say, but, and I got to watch my ums and and all of that and ands. And I learned that from the last Making of Moguls. But I want to talk about solution branding. Somebody say solution branding. You are a product. Put your hands on yourself and say, you are a product and you're not waiting on a product. Take a deep breath. Because some of you waiting for this big idea, you're trying to create this big idea, you're in your labs, you're in your offices, you're getting mental breakdowns and mental stigmatisms trying to figure out this next product to birth out. And I realized that I don't write or do anything for my audience. I'm going to teach y'all a trick. When you write for your audience, how many of you know that your audience becomes fickle? When you're hot, they're hot, and when you're not, they're not. But if you write books because you want to become a book, if you do that, then you open up your life because you have a story and you milk a crisis, and because you're able to tell something different in such a way that attracts people. Now, Stacy said something earlier that was so powerful. I've been a part of being able to brand myself internationally. And the reason why I was able to do that is because I don't just consider myself as a black individual. I know I might not get a lot of hoops and hollers. That's very obvious, but when you start to think globally in a mindset, you realize that people understand pain and universal truths. So if I talk about money, pain, power, success, the Chinese and the Ethiopian all experience pain, power, and success. And that's coming out of my own story. It's not one of those things where you can actually look and see from the topical makeup. I wore a suit today, and some brothers looking at me like I'm crazy. It's very risky because I was determined to blend out. One of the things I want to do, and I was in Africa. My wife is from West Africa, Liberia. Anybody know about Liberia? Liberia went through 25 years of civil war while the world looked upon them and did nothing. 3.5 million people died at the hands of people that was twice under their age. We had generational boy soldiers who was fighting their cousins and stabbing and killing, and the world did nothing. So when I was over there, I said I wanted not to just go over there to preach or teach or to bring something. How many of you know you got to understand the culture of where you go before you begin to talk or even establish a business? You must understand what the problem is. So I want you to understand, I call myself and brand myself as a solution strategist and solution coach is because, not because of the success, but because all of the problems that led through the process. So every business owner, I want you to write this down. The process makes perfect, not the practice. The process of when your product wasn't doing well makes you and propels you with the wherewithal and the tact to keep on posting on social media when you don't have a dime in your pocket. And you, look at this. Look, when you don't have a dime in your pocket, then you got to use what you do have. Now, I'm a little country boy from North Carolina, Charlotte to be exact. I live in a place called Manassas, and I don't know how I got to Manassas. But I realized one thing. People are waiting for your story behind your story. Some of you are throwing away your problems, and that's a part of your solution. What happened when your dad rejected you? What happened when you went through foreclosure? What happened when the divorce came your way? What happened when your baby's daddy left you? What happened when you start to sink? And the only thing you have is time. But my mother was a country woman, and she did this powerful thing to me one day. I went in the refrigerator, Don. I said, there's nothing in this refrigerator. I'm hungry. Before she slapped me, because to this day her hands are bigger than mine, she said, listen, boy, you got to understand, behind that ice is some meat that's expired, but it was frozen. She started to chisel it off, and I started preparing the pots, and she was preparing all of the stove, and she was doing all of this. I said, what are you preparing for? She said, son, there's something when it thaws out that's going to be the best meal you ever had. Some of you got to look at when your business was frozen and your ideas was deferred and your hope was sick, and you had a business plan with no financing or financer. When you had low credit, below the 650 or 750 you had, and we got people to work on your credit. But what I'm saying is that you got to use what you have. I was watching Steve Jobs. God has given me something. I'm not bragging. God gave me something at my job this year, $40,000 raise. At a job that when I started with my master's degree, they paid me lower than any other directors. Anybody been in a situation where you tried to leave and couldn't quit? You tried to kill something, couldn't die? The dog went and barked and the cat went meow. You want to just leave? I was sitting there, I said, man, I got a PhD and I'm sitting here making $51,000. I'll leave, do my own business. God said, you're going to do your own business, but I want you to still work here because I'm beginning to do something crazy, radical in your situation. So I started working, started talking to people. Next thing you know, I'm meeting senators, I'm meeting people, I'm getting around the aroma. Some of you got to get around new friends, get around new opportunities. Don't try to come and take the ideas. You need to rub elbows with somebody making six figures. And we do this all. Don't take somebody's idea. You just got to get next to them, because when the pot is smoking, man, I grew up in the country. When my mom would put those greens on, I would go outside and everybody said, something smell like greens, but they didn't understand I had been around my mother. Some of you don't want mentees. You don't want to blend. You don't want anybody to help you out. You don't want business coaches and just want to get out there. Get around somebody that smells like somebody. First rule of business, I'm going to tell you. What happened is she told me something that was powerful. Getting back to my mom's story was this. You can't help what you don't have, but you can prepare everything you do have. So she got the pots out of the stove and started to defrost the refrigerator. And then on the backside of that was some old pork chops that was outdated, but it was frozen. Some of your dreams have just been frozen. They're not diminished. Some of you are going to leave this and start to tweet about your experience. I do YouTubes, I do Facebook Lives talking about my pain. Because somebody on the other side is saying, hey, they're getting it twisted by the bio. But they need somebody like today to really share and open up the story behind the story. So I waited there. Let me tell you, the people that didn't want me around that underpaid me had to give me $40,000. I'm telling you something, because I was practicing to make perfect. So what happened is then now God said, now because you've done this in this one level of business, check this out. Because you can be saved and be a business owner. You can be a Christian and be a business owner. I'm not knocking anybody's faith. I'm giving you some practicality. You don't have to choose because you want to do philanthropy work and you want to do God's will. You can actually still run Fortune 500 companies. I managed a budget of $3.5 million, but I was making $51,000. Some of you are getting it twisted because you're saying, I should be making more. Nobody in planet Earth can pay you your worth. That's the first misconception. If I paid you $100,000 every day, I'm still cutting you out because you have to understand how much money I'm bringing in to pay you $100 million a day. I was sitting back there and God told me something. He said, watch Steve Jobs' movie. It was the most boringest thing I ever watched, in my opinion. Knew he was great speaker. But one clip in the movie got me, and I want to leave this as a premise to social media branding. I'm going somewhere with this. He said to the man that was commanding the computer, anybody know Steve Jobs? He wasn't a technical person at all. He was a person that was selling a product that was 20 years ahead of time. Can I say this prophetically or for your future? Some of you got products that's 20 years ahead of time. When he got ready to walk out and he was hitting that stage, he told the computer guy, he said, listen, I want you to do two things. I know it's not ready, but I want you to keep this monitor on. I know it's not working, but I needed to say hello. To say hello. The powerful thing about it was the product of the Mac wasn't even capable of doing what they were promoting, but he just needed it to stay on. What am I saying? I just need you guys today to stay on, stay connected, just plug into a power source. Pick that dream out of the recycle basket and put it back in your life, because this is what's happening. Job said it's not ready yet. And I like what he told the tech. He said, listen, if it fails, your name is going to be on the news. Some of you got to understand, you're starting your business, but you're not delegating something else to somebody. So now you running your business. You better get your family involved. You better get your friends involved. Somebody going to hold the sign. Somebody's got to do the flyer. I'm telling you something. So what happened is, when I didn't have a job making the money I wanted to make, this was the key thing. Every day I got dressed and said, I'm going to my 6-figure job. Now that was hard to do. So I shared my pain on social media, because how many of you know the branding? What is branded? You are a brand. Somebody say that I am a brand. Wherever you go, like Marc said, whatever you do, whatever you say, you are articulating your vision and your business. So when you begin to go on social media and you're not careful, you'll start posting stuff that you got to understand that you cannot take back. Because when people look at that social media, they know when you discourage, encourage. I can go down the timeline and say, she's feeling bad today. His wife left him. He angry at all women. But let me tell you something. God promoted me. My sister didn't know this. Now I got a job offer to be an executive director, a CEO of a nonprofit that sits under a Catholic name, and I'm a Christian, Catholic name, endorsed, tripling my salary after they paid me. Look at this, but this is powerful. Why did that happen? Because I shared my story of what was behind my story. People don't know that Steve Jobs made the iPad, the iPhone, because his daughter was carrying around a Walkman. Anybody saw the movie? She was carrying around a Walkman. He says, I'm going to put 500 songs in your pocket. No, I'm going to put 1,000 songs in your pocket. I want you to stop real quick. On your piece of paper, what are you going to put in the world's pocket? That's what I want to focus on today. What are you going to put in the world's pocket? He didn't say, I'm going to sell the world anything. He says, I'm going to put something that they need in their pocket. I wore 2 watches. One's an iWatch, one's a little cheaper money exchange watch. But I wore this for a purpose to say that everything around us is about branding. You chose your clothes today not really because you wanted to wear them. It was a brand you like, the way it feels. Maybe it was a color you like. Maybe it was a logo. Maybe it was something you need to understand, that everything you do is branded. Your attitude, your body demeanor, people are watching that. Now look at this part that's so powerful. People will pay you for your mess. God, wish I had time to talk about that. We sit and we walk around social media. Let people attack you on social media. People have attacked me. They said all these different things and I didn't respond, because guess what happened? Their followers were talking about me for free. Right? So you got to understand, when you are, how many of you moving in nonprofits, or you moving in your own individual business, or you got a product line? When you put something out there, there's always going to be somebody say, they don't smell the way you said it would smell. They don't hold me the way it. There's always somebody. Don't combat them. Don't try to argue back, because they're bringing publicity to your brand. And people are watching you, how you respond to criticism. Jobs was fired, rehired, and rebranded himself and reinvented himself. Now he's dead and gone, and people are still buying iPhone 1, 2, 3, 4. Where we at? 7. Then I'm not going to stop at 7. I'm going to give you a plus. How many of you know it's not much difference from the 6 or the 7? Can somebody answer that? Why do we buy it? He's in the grave now, but he didn't sell you a business. He sold you a mentality that Apple is better. So now, even though he's dead, and his great-grandchildren is going to live off his residual, because he's 20, 40 years ahead of time. How many of you know he was fired? He wasn't a good businessman. He developed into something great. Social media and branding. Post when you don't feel like it. Somebody say post often, but watch what you post. People are looking. There's some days, I got to be honest, I don't even feel like coming on social media to even talk about encouraging anybody, but my gift will make room or an opportunity. And this is when I'll get an email or an inbox saying, you know, your last live, it really blessed me. That don't mean there's not problems in my house. I got to use what I have. What is it that God has given you innately to use like nobody's business? That's what you got to find. Second, you got to find your social media niche. If everybody's posting about everything, you have to understand what do you need to post about that brings your audience into you. Can I give you one snapshot? It's the difference between saying, find 5 ways to run your business, right? That's good. That sounds really good. But if I was to say, hey, have you ever conducted business on lunch money? How many people are going to click on which one? The last one, because I asked you a question, I got you involved. So when you're doing Facebook Live, anybody do Facebook Live, you better use it. It's great. Some of you on Snapchat. I ain't got into Snapchat yet. My son's trying to get me there. I don't understand it. I can never talk in 15 seconds, 10 seconds. Right? But you got to understand, when you get on and you give your big live speech, include your audience. Don't just get on there rambling and showing that you at Showmars and Denny's and Subway. Unless you're a food critic, you want to talk about what's relevant to the topic and get people in. You want to ask them questions so that they can respond. And then I'm going to go down that list and say, hey, Darlene from New York, how you doing? Why? Because she's going to say, I'm doing good. Then I say, like and share it. Then she's going to share it with her network. Then somebody on her page goes, who's that talking about that? Next thing you know, I got 5,000 people who viewed the video. They don't know my name. They wouldn't come to my church. They would never check out my business. They would never buy a book. I want to ask you a question. Where would you put a vending machine? Where would you put a vending machine? Would you put a vending machine in the empty parking lot? Or would you put it in the middle of downtown where the traffic is? This is for every business. One thing, if you find where to place your business in a vending machine, you'll double and triple everything you ever tried to do. Some of us are doing great businesses in empty parking lots. Let me stop there. Why don't you use what's free? Facebook is free. I hear people, I ain't on Facebook. I don't do that. No, I'm not on Instagram. I don't do that. Well, find somebody that's an Instagrammer, find somebody that's a Facebooker, and get them involved in social media. It's free. How does social media, I'm going to answer this question, make money? They make money on sales and ads. So what you need to do, point 3, is attach yourself to a sales and ad. I'm giving y'all some free stuff. Y'all better catch this. So have y'all ever seen that stuff on the side that they're selling shirts and people are paying for that? They got tax relief. You can tag yourself to an ad that points back to you for free. Good God. Whoa, that was good. Let me tell you, let me put it this way. How many of you on YouTube? On YouTube, you know what I do? I like T.D. Jakes. So when I wrote my book, Manhandled, shameless plug, I want you to get it from Men in Communication. You know what I did? I tagged Megafest in my title. I tagged T.D. Jakes. I tagged Men Issues. Why? Because when they go to T.D. Jakes, guess what's coming up on the sidebar? OliverT Reid. And y'all know our concentration isn't, we'll be looking at something and say, oh, who's that? All I need is 30 seconds. All I need is 30 seconds. All I need is 30 seconds. 30 seconds. The average time to sell a book, the average time to get your product out, people have to see it 7 times. Somebody said 7 times. They got to see your post 7 times, and that's why it has to be consistent. If you're posting about gravy, post about gravy, but don't come back tomorrow and talk about, because now I lost everybody. Are you gravy or are you, be consistent with your brand? I have this product, I'm telling you. I have a product, and I'm telling you, it's powerful. We did a 2-day workshop. A friend of mine, Kelly Cole, he wrote the book. How many of you ever heard Conversations with Sharks or ever heard of Shark Tank? Kelly Cole is one of my best friends. He wrote a book called Conversations with Shark. He interviewed all of the sharks that come on there. And we teach you how to brand and take one idea and brand it 43 different ways. I can teach you how to take one idea, don't change it up, and brand it 43 different ways. So see you back there. All right? Listen, remember this. You are a solution. Say that with me. You are a solution to a well-thought-out plan. You're not an accident, but a divine appointment with a divine solution. Let's